Welcome to this Tutor to You Sociology topic video looking at crime in contemporary society, focusing on organised crime. Whilst organised crime existed before the era of globalisation, the spread of international criminal organisations has been accelerated by the impacts of globalisation on society. Prior to globalisation, organised crime existed, the most notable being the Cosa Nostra or Sicilian Mafia that operated on the east coast of the USA from the late 1800s onwards, and Eastern organisations such as the Triads and the Yakuza in China and Japan respectively. In the UK, organised crime syndicates existed based upon local areas or based upon common ancestry. But in the era of globalisation, organised crime syndicates have grown exponentially, with estimates of 2 to 10% of global GDP being generated by organised criminal activities. In this video, we're going to look at some examples of how organised crime has increased in the global era. Organised crime incorporates a broad variety of crimes, with many organised crime syndicates branching out from traditional racketeering, prostitution and gambling in the global era. One form of crime is trafficking. Trafficking is the illegal transport of goods across international borders, such as drugs, people, arms and counterfeit goods. This also includes modern slavery, a form of trafficking which relies upon organised crime syndicates exploiting the labour of others, usually those that have been trafficked into the UK, by providing them with food, accommodation and transport in exchange for their wages. Trafficking can also be linked to the sale and purchase of illegal goods. Conflict minerals such as coltan and diamonds can be trafficked across international borders with more ease in the era of globalisation. Organised crime syndicates are also involved in cybercrime, particularly hacking, phishing scams and identity fraud, operating across cyberspace to gain access to resources or information that can be used to either extort money from businesses or individuals and gain an advantage over other businesses. Now, globalisation is often seen as beginning in the period following the fall of communism in the late 1980s and early 1990s. The growth of free trade in this period and a more consensus view of reduced state spending and less paranoia over the actions of other nations led to a dramatic reduction in security services, particularly in the former Soviet states. According to Glenny, this led to many of these former KGB and other secret police servicemen setting up their own mafias, often being paid to provide protection to a new generation of billionaires created by the sale of state resources. These McMafias, as Glenny called them, would set up global criminal networks and utilise their connections in the military to exchange arms for precious minerals and resources. And these were often located in areas of global conflict, for example Central Africa. These resources would then be traded legitimately. Organised crime networks were also able to legitimise their earnings through money laundering, passing money through Western banks and investing in properties in the West, particularly the City of London. All of this is possible due to the deregulation of financial institutions in the era of globalisation. A contemporary example of the crimes committed by organised crime networks is the human trafficking of Vietnamese nationals into the UK in 2019. 39 people were found dead in the back of a lorry in Grays, Essex, after being transported as part of a modern slavery ring that is alleged to have been an international operation. These were due to be housed in the UK and working for gangmasters who would exploit these people for their labour and collect their wages in return. This case also highlights the difficulty in prosecuting global crimes, as a lack of evidence means that nobody in this case has been charged with human trafficking, due to difficulties in meeting the definition of human trafficking. In this case, an inability to determine whether these individuals were forcibly taken from their homeland, which highlights a lack of clarity which is exploited by organised crime networks. A further contemporary example of the role of organised crime and how it is influenced by globalisation has been through the export of coltan. Misha Glenny outlined that the civil war in the Democratic Republic of Congo opened opportunities for organised crime syndicates. Coltan, a conflict mineral due to its production being associated with child labour, sexual abuse and conflict between militias in the Democratic Republic of Congo, was highly desired in the late 1990s as it was an important mineral used in the production of games consoles and latterly in the production of smartphones. This mineral was traded by militias in the DRC with Eastern European mafias in exchange for weapons to gain an advantage in the conflict. Once exchanged, this mineral is then refined and sold to legitimate companies, earning a sizable profit for these mafias. Global organised crime, however, is less likely to influence UK criminal operations, according to Hobbs and Dunningham. According to their research, organised crime in the UK is often based upon regional boundaries. However, the supply of drugs and weapons are often linked to global criminal networks. Organised crime in the UK is often centred around gangs within major cities such as Liverpool, Nottingham, Manchester, Glasgow and London, with the organisation of these gangs being independent from global criminal networks and hierarchies based upon local areas within these cities. However, often their products and the weapons used to maintain their advantage are supplied through connections forged in mainland Europe, such as Holland and Spain, with many of the drugs sold coming from areas controlled by Eastern European mafias such as Afghanistan, the world's leading producer of opium. That concludes this Tutor to You Sociology topic video looking at crime in contemporary society, focusing on organised crime. Thanks for watching.